everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're in the basement, got to do a little water softener maintenance. This here is our water softener. It's a Kinetico model number 30. Many of you that have water softeners in your home, you may not have one that looks like this. You may have the traditional one that's just got it's kind of a square bin with the dials and the the controls on top of it. This one is a little different in that it's got two resin tanks. So whereas the I don't want to call them a normal one, but the traditional type of softener that people use has basically a timer, and it's set to go off like every 3 days in the middle of the night, and it does the regen of the resin. This one has actually got two resin tanks, and it's based on water flow. So when it gets to a certain amount of gallons, it regenerates this one and switches over and uses that one. And then when it gets to that certain amount of gallons again, same thing. It regens this one, and this one's sitting here ready. Almost works like a DSG transmission, to put it in car terms. So what we've noticed with this thing is that the amount of soft water, or the soft water, doesn't last until it automatically regens, and the automatic regens seem to be sporadic or intermittent. Now, in the past, I've had to take the valve mechanism apart and clean it out. It'll get a little piece of stuff in it, and it kind of bungs up the system. So what we're going to do is go through that, and we're going to clean the resin. I'll show you how to do that. And we're going to start first by doing a water test. So here's a water test hardness kit you can buy. I got this on Amazon, I think. So you wet the test strips, and then you wait for it to change color and see what you've got. I've got two of them out. For comparison purposes, I'll show you one. We're going to take the water directly from the well that hasn't gone through the softener or any treatment at all. Let it run for a sec. It'll drip on it. And we'll see. You can see we've got very hard water here. It takes it about 15 seconds to change color completely. But we're right up there in the very hard range. You can see that. Okay, so we'll put this one aside. And now we'll take one out of our tap, which is the water that's been treated by our softener, and we'll see where it's at. I checked it this morning and it was still okay, but we'll see what we've got here now. So we can see our water is still okay. It's starting to creep towards that, but it's not quite there yet. You can also see the little black dot to the very left of the screen, right underneath the number 5 there. It's just about getting ready to go into regen, but it's not quite there yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this apart and make sure there's no debris or junk in there to keep it from operating properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the softener in bypass so we can open it up. So there's the bypass valve, and now we're going to close the two water valves there. Now this is isolated. Water can still go through the house, but it's not going to be softened. But that's okay. So what you need, not much really to do this job. We need a 1/4-inch nut driver. And we're going to take all these little screws out, and that'll get us into the control head. All right. Once we've got all the screws out, then we take off the cap. And there's a little spring. Now this here is the disc. This is the control disc. This is what tells it how often to regenerate. You can see here, this is a number 5, and it's got 5 little notches on it. That's how it knows how often to regenerate. And that is, there's a calculation. If you read your Kinetico manual, there's a chart there. You have to go by the total hardness of your raw well water, and that'll tell you which disc to put in to keep this thing functioning properly. And now, these two, it never ends. Now you can see here, there's the little levers and the little clickers for the gear down below. That gear is what turns around and makes the whole thing work. Now you can see once this piece comes out, underneath it's got this interesting shape, which is what, as it turns, directs water through all these tiny little passages to work all the valves and stuff. It's very interesting. I don't really see anything afoul in there, so we'll go ahead and put it all back together. And then we'll clean the resin. That's how it should look before it all goes together. The spring and that little button go under there. That's what keeps that stuff all pushed down. When we go to put the acrylic lid on, you'll see here it's got a little peg there. And they put a peg in that well there so you can't put the thing on backwards. It can only go in this way. So we'll put that on there like that and get the screws started. All right, now we're going to see what happens. What we want to do first is make sure that the little black dot there is not in a regen position, which it is not. You can see there it's right there in that little space, which is in between the regen cycles. So what we're going to do now is we're going to close the bypass valve and we're going to slowly pressurize this thing. I'm sorry it's so dark down here. Oh, there, that makes it better. There. So it's pressurized. You can see there's actually water in there. So we'll open the other side of it back to the house. Good. Nothing's leaking. So we're in good shape. What we're going to do now is clean the resin beds. So how we do that is we've got this here, water softener cleanser. Now, of course, the jury is out on whether this stuff works or not. When I got this, I asked the guy, is there any maintenance required? No, it lasts as long as it lasts, then you need a new one. But, I mean, he's in the business of selling these. The people that sell this stuff say you need to use this or that thing is going to die. But they're in the business of selling this stuff. So who do you trust? I don't know. The only thing we can do is try it and see what happens. So what we have to do is dump the contents of this bottle directly into the brine well, which is this. Not there in the salt. If your softener does not have an accessible brine well like this one does, you have to wait until the salt is almost empty to do this. But we're in good shape, so we'll just pop the lid off the brine well, and we'll dump this stuff right in there. You dump the entire can in. All right, here goes nothing. Now, for a normal softener that doesn't have the dual resin chambers, you just need to do this once. But we're going to have to do it twice because we got to make sure we get both our resin reservoirs flushed out. Okay, so now, once that's in there, we're going to force the thing into a regen. So you push down on that, and you turn it. Oh man, I'm sorry this thing is, but you can see there it's contacting the little black dot, and then you just turn it, and there she goes. So it's going to regen. I'm not sure which one. It's going to regen one or the other, and then when it's done, we'll regen again. And then when you're done all that, you have to regen both of them again just to make sure they're flushed out. Then once we've done all that, we'll have to keep an eye on it for a few days to see if the soft water lasts until it gets to the automatic regen point. Because what was happening was we would get, just before it regen, we were getting up, on this color chart here, we were getting up to about the, man, that flash, there we go. We were getting up to about the middle there on the color chart, and it was really starting to mess up our taps and stuff in the house. So hopefully this'll do the trick. All right, we're back in business now. I had this thing screwed up. The little arm on here, what you've got in here is you've got underneath, there's two water wheels like impellers that drive through a series of gear reductions, and they turn these. It's hard to see, but these here are cams, and there's little arms that turn these wheels, and that's what advances the mechanism. So the one here, it could go either way, and even though I took a picture of it before I took it apart, I put it the wrong way. And the lower gear, which drives the valving, wasn't turning. Anyway, we're back in business now. It's turning. So basically, you've got two gears. The gear set on this side in the impeller is what counts. That one counts the gallons of water running through the system, and it turns the top gear, which determines how often it regens. The bottom gear, the lower gear, is run by this cam, and it actually runs the regen process. So we've got everything working now, so we should be okay. Another thing to note, if you're going to do this operation, make sure it's at a time of year when you've got lots of water in your well. Like, don't do this in the middle of a drought, because it is going to use up quite a bit of water, all the flushing and backfilling. But right now, the groundwater is pretty high here, so I'm in good shape to do this. We're on a dug well. It's only about 28 feet deep. Some of you are going to be on drilled wells. Some of you will be on dug wells. Some of you might be on pulling lake water out or a sand point. There's all kinds of different ways of getting the water into the house. Just make sure that you've got lots before you start doing this. It's about halfway through the, well, actually better than halfway through the regen cycle now. So we're just waiting on it to finish, and then we'll regen the other side. Well, you can see the little black dot is right around to there. This thing is just about done. Then we'll be able to do the other one. Alright, it's just finishing up now. There we go. It's done. So now we'll repeat. We'll put the other jug of stuff down the brine well and force another regen. So basically you just push down on this, and then you turn that, and this turns the lower disc. And there she goes. We've started our second regen. So we can see our little dot is around to here. The second regen with the chemical in is just about done. This thing is working great now, like everything's going around and around and clicking away like it should. And I'm pretty sure that before this morning, before we took it apart, there was something wrong in there. It's like that, in the last video, that carburetor on the little tractor. It takes almost nothing. Oh, there, see, it just finished. It takes almost nothing to louse these things up. Okay, so now, right away, we got it. Now we've done regen on both cylinders with the chemical in it. Now we're going to go, it says to do a second regen right away. So, there we are. Now we're back regenning the first one again. So they're both getting 2. The third regen is done. Now we're going to advance it to start the fourth and final one. There we go. And then when this one's done, it should be good. Well, the fourth regen is done. So all we can do now is I'll test the hardness in the morning and the afternoon every day, and keep tabs on when it does its auto regen and see if the soft water lasts until the next auto regen. I know now that this stuff is all working properly, so I think we're in good shape. We saw that wheel, the wheel that runs the bottom disc, turning, and if you open a tap, it's really hard to see, but you'll see that one turning as well. Well, that'll do it for that job. Yet another no new parts rebuild, and you know, a little servicing up, and we've got the water softener working properly as far as we know again. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you next time here on the Claremont Classic Garage, and until then, this is Kevin checking out. So long for now.